Kind of forget the mic. Welcome back. Welcome back. We do this every single week where we catch up and discuss what's been going on in the. Can I say it's probably appropriate to call it the manosphere because of the topic that we're actually talking about? We discuss that, but we don't actually discuss the manosphere. We discuss the social events that's going on outside of what I normally do on this channel, which is going through legal stuff. But we kind of got off the cuff on this episode with two amazing co-hosts, Meryl and Given. Thank you so much for joining me again. Gosh, I had to take a breather there. But yeah, welcome back, guys. How are you guys doing? I appreciate you guys for coming, for being here. Last time was quite enlightening. Last time, Meryl, you said something that that I needed some kind of verification. But before we go into that, how are you doing? You okay?
No, I had a good workout today, so that's good.
Ah, that's great.
Preparing
That's
for a
great.
festival next week, so
Given. Are you muted? Are you muted?
yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
can hear you.
Yeah, I muted myself. You prepared for a festival? Wait, what? Wait, what?
Which festival?
Yeah,
Yeah, what
we
festival?
go to festivals. Gaspop in Belgium.
Is it the rock festival? It is festival
Well,
season actually.
metal and rock, yeah.
Oh, that
Mostly.
was close.
Oh, right, nice. Cool.
That was very close. But yeah, you said last week, by the way, Meryl, I want to center this on you because you said that patriarchy is the explainer for the high male suicide rate. So on the living rate, just to censor myself. So I want to elaborate on that. What is, for those that may not know, could you please what you understand of patriarchy, and then we go to what Given understands and what I understand, and then we kind of riff off from there, because I want to answer the question of whether it contributes to the Redpill discussion, and we go through that. So yeah. Why do you think that patriarchy is a main contributor to males ills such as the unaliving rate?
Yeah, well, patriarchy is generally defined as a social system where men are generally held to be superior, not necessarily ontologically inherently, but like in social status, in dominance, in privilege, in power, that kind of stuff. And that is culturally perpetuated with like cultural ideals of what a perfect family would look like, what masculinity and femininity would look like. And it cuts both ways. Like, it sounds like, oh, men have all the power and the privilege. It must be fantastic paradise for them. It's not. It hurts all genders. And the main reason that I say that patriarchy is a major contributing factor, like I wouldn't call it the explainer, because there's obviously more things than just patriarchy in the world. The main reason it's a contributing factor is because one of the central ideals or ideas of patriarchy is this very traditional sense of masculinity that can range into toxic masculinity, but just masculinity itself isn't inherently good or bad. It depends on what shape it takes. Where men are expected to be like tough and strong and not emotional, where emotionality is seen as weakness, and like, don't be such a woman and that kind of stuff. And the whole phrase of big boys don't cry, and all those kinds of ideas that mean that men have more trouble emotionally expressing themselves and see it as a sign of weakness to have those emotions in the first place, and are less likely to talk about it because they need to be masculine for their friends to be socially accepted. But also, another thing that cuts into it is that it also discourages deep emotional bonds between men, because there's also a big aspect of homophobia in it, that like having a deep emotionally meaningful bond with another man is seen as gay, and that's somehow bad. Even though lots of research shows that men who have good emotional relationships with, I don't mean like romantic, but like friendly relationships with both men and women, generally tend to have way better mental health outcomes and satisfaction and happiness and stuff. So that's in a nutshell.
Right. Okay. So in regards to that, in regards to that, given, what do you think of patriarchy? Like, I want to know where you're coming from because
I think
of
patriarchy,
the repeal.
we're just going to start from here. Patriarchy is basically the system that won out through our evolutionary cycle. And it is a system where men tend to, dominate society, and where they tend to, are the heads of the household, tend to head up the leadership structure. And obviously it can get extreme where like women get, put to the side or get given lesser roles. But generally, I would say patriarchy is a system which was the optimal survival unit that we had, and that was the reason we had it, because it was the best thing for us evolutionarily. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. These things happen because they are strong enough to survive the test of time. If you think about from where we began to where we are now, patriarchy is a key contributor to our evolution as a species. Do we need it in the future? Maybe not. But for now, or for back then, it was definitely good.
And how do you know that? Because we don't have matriarchal societies to compare it to. So how do you know that?
That's
that
how I
would
know
have
it.
been
That's how I know it. Because we don't have matriarchal societies.
Yeah, but
'Cause they're not
that
there.
means that, but the
They're not
system
there.
self-perpetuates, so that doesn't mean that it's good.
It means that it was the most optimum situation because that's what won out in the end.
Not necessarily. It might have been more dominant, but that doesn't mean that over time it would have been better, because once it's
Yeah,
in
that's what
place, it doesn't
but
just
that's what I
change.
said. But I said that it might not be the best for the future, but for getting us to this point, it did its job.
We don't know that because we didn't try
But we're
matriarchy to get
here.
here.
There's no way to not try
I
it.
would say egalitarianism.
There's no way to not try it because we're here. We
No, but
can't
we
go
haven't-
back. Shoulda,
we
coulda, woulda.
don't know if it might have gone better if we had an egalitarian society or a matriarchal society. I'm not in favor of matriarchy either, by the way, but
But we
we don't
didn't.
know because we can't compare.
Yeah, obviously we can't, so we didn't.
Right, but that means that we also can't judge whether it's better.
But the fact that evolutionarily it's the thing that led us forward means that it was the thing that was necessary for us to move forward in the
Not
sense that we
necessarily.
did.
There's tons of stuff in evolution that's like harmful. It's just
yes.
not harmful enough to be evolved out of us.
Well, 100%. But this seems like a key cornerstone
Yeah,
for
but,
our survivability.
If I may interject, I don't think any system that's actually ever been created by man has ever been 100% good, 100% bad. It's just like, I mean, of course we can look at the good that, having a patriarchal society has brought, like so many advanced civilizations, but at the same time it's also brought like bad things happen, like the warfare, etc. Like, what I'm trying to say is, what do you mean by optimum? When you say optimum, what do you actually mean?
As in the way nature is, it is competition. Nature is competition. So patriarchy promotes competition, promotes like almost like a meritocracy of the best. Whoever does the best gets the best. Whoever does the worst does not get as much. That's what I mean. It coincides with what evolution is dictating, and we have to compete for resources. We have to compete to survive. It coincides with that. Whereas matriarchy, you get what, or let's say like egalitarianism, you get equal, you get equal, you get equal, we all get equal. You might be slightly better at that thing than I am, but we still all get equal.
That's not what egalitarian means in the sense of patriarchy versus.
Well, I'm saying in the long term, like in the long term evolutionary scale, it will be hard to judge egalitarianism apart from trying to make things as equal as possible.
It's just about whether one particular gender gets to dominate. That's all it is. And it actually hampers meritocracy, because now you get dominance not on the basis of whether you're good at it, but on the basis of your gender. Why don't we, if in an egalitarian society, with regards to, in the terms of like patriarchy, matriarchy, egalitarianism, that would just mean that those who are actually better would get to those positions.
But if you think about how we were actually living back then, it was the people who could manipulate the land who were quote unquote better and would survive.
I actually disagree with what Meryl just said and what you just said as well, because I don't think it was either egalitarian nor was it either meritocratic. Because a lot of the civilizations that was in charge, they were, what is it, imperialist? When they have royal families, etc., and like having to go down lineage, and is that
Yes,
what that was called?
but the majority of the people in the actual country, it
Right.
was merit based. Like if you're the best blacksmith, you're gonna get the most money.
Yeah,
That's what
but
I'm
in
talking
terms
about.
of but in terms of gaining power, I can see what
Well, yeah, you're
merit.
born into power. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
different.
yeah. I can see what Meryl says in that, but at the same time, they were female rulers, so I
Oh,
don't
100%.
know this. What were you trying to say there? Like in terms of
I'm saying that if you look
no,
at
no,
it
no,
on a
Meryl. Sorry.
okay,
I'm addressing. What were you trying to say there when you say that it robs from meritocracy and it's just men going to rule? What do you mean? Because there have been female rulers in the past, and they have been passed down through lines of uh, governors and kings, kings and queens, etc.
Independent from that's completely independent from the point I was making. But as a social system, patriarchy favors men on the virtue of being men, while being a man doesn't make you inherently superior or better fit to lead or whatever. So there's this factor in it that makes it more likely for you to get into a leading position because of a factor that doesn't inherently increase your fitness to be in a leading position. And in an egalitarian society where we don't value one gender over another inherently, we actually have the space to let those who are best at it rise up instead of inherently having this bias against one gender, because it's not shown to be factually correct that men are inherently superior at anything with regards to what we need in a social system.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with.
Hold on.
Go on. Go.
I think.
I'll go back to my point afterwards. Go ahead.
Oh no, go on. Actually, I'll let you land first.
No. No. Do your thing. Do
No,
your
I was
thing.
just gonna say that again. I don't know if you've seen this because I saw the whole season, and I don't know if you've seen Bear Grylls, The Island, the whole season. The whole season on the difference in operation and the difference in how they all got the same training. Both the group of men and the group of women all got the same training. They're all varied in their professions, their skills, and whatnot. And it was interesting how the men were able to manipulate the environment much more quickly and able to make decisions much more quickly based on ability to do things, whereas the women were kind of trying to be like, let's hear from everyone, let's try and kind of come to a consensus, whereas the men were like, look, someone just took charge and said, look, this is what we're going to do, we're going to do this, and they executed. If the plan didn't work out, they quickly pivoted on that plan, whereas the women took time to discuss, often leading to no conclusions, and actually leading to them not being able to find shelter, having to go to the men for help.
Yeah, I don't think that a TV program is like the best source for getting these kinds of opinions, because if you
No,
look
but it's
at
a good example.
studies, no, it's anecdotal. Because if you look at studies, there's a study from S&P Global that found that in the 2 years following their appointment, female CEOs saw a 20% increase in stock price momentum, and additionally, companies with more gender diversity on their executive board were more profitable than those without.
Yeah, that's
There's
good.
that.
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean,
but
Go on.
my point was not about the future or now. My point was about how we got to this point. That's what I was
I don't
talking about.
care about that. That's not.
Then we have nothing to talk about. We can move forward.
well, I
No,
mean,
for real.
well,
we can move forward to the next topic, because I said patriarchy is not necessary for the future. That's what I said. It's not necessary for the future, but it did its job to get us to the point where we are. That's what I said.
And we can't compare whether it would have also done its job without it.
it's very hard.
You
It
don't
is.
have
It
that
is.
to look
It
at.
is very hard to compare a massive transition in time, though, because we have objectively become a very more socialized society. Like, we're not tribal anymore. Like, that's actually eradicated. Like before, back in time, we actually were a lot more tribal than how we are today. So it will be very hard to compare. If we were still in the same tribe mindset, in the like where the borders were heavily controlled before, obviously the Romans made it a lot more, and now we kind of have the Roman kind of system. But before, we never traveled like that freely. Like that was actually a thing, but we still move forward. It's very hard to compare, but I will say a lot of progress has been made because, and I don't think that can be denied. I don't think anyone can argue against that.
It is because of the inherent competition between nations, tribes, to get resources and to outcompete each other. Same thing that happens in the animal kingdom everywhere with animals trying to outcompete each other. It's a natural thing that happens. It could be a matriarchy trying to outcompete another matriarchy, but competition is key. And for us as a species, patriarchy was just the tool that we used to facilitate that competition. Same with other animals, lions, gorillas, all that kind of thing.
So my question, because we hold on to patriarchal beliefs, this is kind of what leads me to Redpill, because the Redpill, I mean, I just want to put a disclaimer right now. I used to listen to them quite a bit, but this was like, it wasn't even called Redpill at the time. I don't even know what it was called. It was
Manosphere.
because
Just the Manosphere.
It was, I can't remember. I think it was just PUA, but I used to listen to him back in 2014 or 15 or something like that. And then the Red Pill concept came along. I think, I don't know when it came along, 2019 or something like that. So many different things. And
yeah, when it came about when Kevin Samuels came on the scene. That's when hit the
Red Pill is quite a bit older than that.
It is older than that, but I'm just saying, like, mainstream.
But I don't think it was called Red Pill. That's the thing, huh?
No, the term Red Pill was kind of there, but I think it came onto the scene strongly whenever Kevin Samuels came on the line, and then Fresh and Fit came on the line. That's when it became like a more like known thing.
Right, and the one thing that it brought with it was a lot of what people would say are traditional views. And also, it brought on a lot of, it attracted a lot of criticism as well in regards to it being called misogynistic, etc. So I want to, you will probably watch it more than you probably know it more than me, given, because I have noticed a lot of changes. So my idea of the Red Pill as may not even exist anymore, because it wasn't like this. It was just trying to, from what I remember, it was just trying to give young men confidence to like try and talk to women. But that was from, like I said, I'm from 2014, so that's a very long time. I'm practically an old man now at 32. So, but what do you know of the Red Pill and its ideologies, as I say?
Is it me or is it?
Sorry, to you, Given. Sorry.
So basically, fundamentally, what it is a system of belief, like in Matrix. It's about taking the red pill, aka, so you understand everything as it is and your place in society as it is. Trying to sugarcoat where you are or trying to make yourself feel better. You understand that, aka, your value is low. You're not doing the things you need to do to be where you need to be, and it's about bridging the gap between who you are and where you want to be. And Red Pill is basically you acknowledging the world in its natural state as it is, without any idealism, without any understanding men for who they are and what they do, understanding women for who they are and what they do, understanding our society and how it functions and why it functions that way, and working within that environment to basically achieve the things you want to achieve. Because if you don't know the rules, you can't play the game.
And Meryl, how do you perceive the Red Pill? Or what do you know about the Red Pill, I should say?
Not well.
What do you know about them?
Well, I know quite a bit about like the ideologies that are espoused by people who adhere to it, like the ideas that are going around it, the way it makes people behave, like the kinds of people that are attracted to it, a lot of the results that it has on people, and on the whole, it's not been very good.
I am inclined to agree with you based on what it has become, but give me a starting point because I want to see where we intersect. I want to see where we actually meet because that's rare, by the way. That's actually very rare here. Like we rarely meet. We rarely meet.
For one,
So I need a point.
there's a significant undercurrent of male supremacy in red pill ideology that not necessarily everyone who ascribes to it might like put into practice as much, but it's very, very core to its ideas. And a lot of that doesn't really tend to relate to reality as much because male supremacy is not reality. Nor is female supremacy, by the way, just not any supremacy at all. And loads of ideas that I've seen from red and black pill people about women have just been categorically false. Like women are constantly portrayed as like these shallow, cruel people that only choose men for wealth and looks and like have no fundamental worth outside of like being this sort of controlling factor in the world by the men that they choose and controlling like the sexual market and all that kind of stuff, instead of seeing us as like, I don't know, people. Just an idea. Like it fundamentally teaches this kind of gender divisiveness that I think is fundamentally unconstructive and unproductive.
No, I don't disagree with you, but it has to be said, even in the post. Can I say post-feminism? Is feminism still continuing? Can I say post-feminism? Yeah.
Feminism is still a thing. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. In a current feminism world, I still think that the views that the red pill do espouse in terms of men has to provide all these things that you say that that it's basically said that patriarchy is that's bad to hold on to some patriarchal values like men don't cry, etc. There is a patriarchal value that men has to be able to provide that is still being held on to by women outside the red pill. So when we talk about the
patriarchy,
but the question is, do you?
It's also propagated by women.
No, like I completely understand, but the point is that part of patriarchy, is it something that has to be rid of? Because if we get rid of the red pill, like for example, just entertain that scenario, if we get rid of the red pill, there is actually that risk that men would actually also remove themselves from being providers, like having that as a primary role.
Why? Because both men and women can provide. It's just like depends on the person, depends on their relationship, depends on their situation. Why should one gender be upheld as the provider when we can also work and make money?
We know this, but
what's the actual tangible risk here? What's the
danger? There is no tangible risk, but I think it's just the security that a lot of women need, or not even need. They want to feel that security in a relationship where they understand that if they were to stop working for any reason, the man would hold it up.
You don't agree with that?
Whereas men don't kind of think,
and
I'm going to stop working.
Women who are just fine with being the provider and don't want to be like dependent on a man, and
that's fine too.
Like it goes the same way. Like if a man would stop working, it would also be nice for them if the woman could still provide. Like this isn't a gender.
Men don't often think about that as often
because of patriarchy.
It's not like a primary concern. Whereas for women, it's more of a concern that we need. It's like a feeling of like I need that security net under me for me to feel more comfortable or at ease.
I think for any relationship, it would be nice if together you can be financially stable, whatever that looks like for that particular family. In these days, most people can't even pay their bills on a one.
I can't even buy milk. That's how real it is. I can't even buy milk. I just want to say that.
Like, a lot of people don't even have the luxury to have just one provider for the family and the other stay at home. Like that's not even an option for a lot of people anymore.
By the way, massive shout out to Trilo's house. That's sorry. sorry, I just want to give shout out to the chats real quick, and then we'll get back to this. Shout out to Charlotte that's in the place. Patriarchies are compete matriarchies. Well, as Meryl said earlier, there isn't really a sample size to actually put that together and see which one will I compete who. But I would like to see that one day. I would love to see that. Apparently, there are some matriarchal societies, but it's very rare. Sorry, it's not very rare. It's very minimal. I think they're in some parts of New Zealand or something like that, around that area, Australasia or something like that. I've
they exist, but they've never existed at like a large scale.
No, but there are some tribes. There are
definitely some tribes, but that also makes it harder to compare with like our society now, because there are so many confounding factors that already just like you can't compare like a technologically developed globalist Western society with a tribe somewhere. That's not comparable.
Please explain me says. Sorry, go on.
No, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, please explain me says. So the movie Junior is true, and the movie he's referenced. I haven't seen it, but I had to look. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it, Meryl? Junior. It's the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he gets pregnant. Emma Thompson is in it, as well as Danny DeVito. I don't
Actually,
get the reference.
I watched a movie, a similar movie where it's I forgot what it's called. It's about where babies are basically taken from like born in like a little egg situation.
Yeah.
And then this company gives you that egg, and you kind of just nurture the egg until the baby's born. So both the man and the woman.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah. It's the one with
strap the baby onto them.
It's the one with Khaleesi. I forgot her name. Emilia Clarke. Yeah, Emilia Clarke. Yeah, I just finished that. Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah,
hilarious. But it's interesting because it starts to speak to how, like, in that movie, how when the man had the baby and he started bonding more with the baby, it took attention away from the mother. So
that was interesting how they.
She started getting jealous of the fact that he had attention on the baby without any direct attention to her. And when she was seeing other women who are naturally pregnant and they were getting that attention and adornment, she was kind of thinking, I
want that.
This.
Yeah,
I don't know about this egg situation.
And the best,
it turned out pretty well at the end, which is pretty good.
Wait. Who wrote the script? I actually want to know who wrote the script.
I don't know.
Because it would be amazing. 1 second. Let me get the Pod Generation. That's what the movie is called. Let me see who wrote the script. The writer is Sophie. See, it's a woman. I didn't want to say that. No, but I actually relate to that because that is a woman's experience, though. I can actually relate to that. Well, I mean, no, not relate to that. Empathize, kind of understand where she's coming from, It
was interesting because it had almost like some of the roles reversed. Because when the guy was taking care of the baby, and he was trying to tell her that, you just need to connect with the baby more. And then she was like, what do you mean I need to connect with the baby more? Usually the mother would be the one who would be, in constant contact with the baby.
Right.
But this time it was kind of like, almost like having a pet where you have to feed the baby externally, feed the pod and those kind of things. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's definitely a movie. It's on. I think it's on. Where is it called? What is it called?
Amazon Prime, I think it is.
Yeah, Prime. That's the one. It's on Prime. That's what it looks like. They have this pod, and I'm not gonna spoil any. I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but it's definitely worth the watch. It's written by a woman. But back to the manosphere, though, because the manosphere or the red pill, do you think it's dying? Do you think that it's a movement that is dying? Because I asked that, but before you guys answer, we have had figures like Andrew Tate be part of the manosphere. Then we have Jerka that's part of the red pill. Well, I'm kind of going in the wrong order, but point is, you had Pearl Davis, who's part of that, etc. All of these figures. Do you think that? Fresh and Fit as well, and can't forget those guys. Do you think that is actually dying because of these figures, or do you think it's just dying as an ideology? This goes to both of you, by the way, so take your time. Take your
I don't know if it is dying, but I hope it is.
I don't think it's dying. I think it's just it's gonna evolve eventually because I think a lot of the people, the main people, were basically deplatformed. You had the Sneakos, the Andrew Tates, the Peril. They're all demonetized on YouTube. They've all had to move bases to Rumble or whatever or
Do you
different
think that was
platforms.
fair
So
though?
I don't think it doesn't matter about fair. I don't think it's fair. But it is what it is. You can't sit here and cry about, and that's the point about the whole situation. You can't sit here and cry about
Right, right.
what happened. You just have to deal with the cards you're dealt and try and maneuver. So I think it's gonna evolve into something different. And now what you're finding is these people are going into like almost the recesses of the internet where they're making their own communities, and it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be more like underground. So you're just gonna see people implementing things they learn there, but not actually talking about or not actually doing or not like it's just interesting. It's like when you know why people do certain things because it's public, you can kind of spot it. But since they're going back into the recesses, it's gonna become like the PUA movement again, where they can use game, and other people are not gonna know what's happening, but they're gonna have the knowledge because they're in these spaces. If you know what I'm saying. I think it's gonna go back to that where it goes underground.
So basically a cycle, basically.
Pretty much.
This is basically a cycle.
Pretty
It
much.
just goes back to where maybe to where it kind of began. So
Yeah.
this is something. This is something. I want to go back to the last episode because we kind of touched on this, and it was there are some females that were doing the women. Sorry, not there are some women that were doing. No, I got caught up in it because I was thinking males,
You can
but
say
anyway,
it. It's
there are
okay.
some
It's
women
okay.
that were part of the manosphere or the red pill movement, whatever.
Mhm.
And what was happening was a lot of them were being called pygmies, and a lot of even the ones that were being general. And this reminded me of the show that we had last week, where that man was picking the bear. Last week's show, and then I said, well,
The man wasn't picking the bear for clarification. He was just saying that for the average woman hiking alone in the woods, seeing a bear would be 10 times scarier than seeing a random man. That was all he was saying.
I appreciate the clarification. I appreciate the clarification. What I was basically saying was, um, if that was in a red pill manosphere, like seeing him stand up for men, they may be called a pygmy. So that was the point I was making last week, and I want to make the same point again because the women in the red pill, I don't believe they had a fair rap in terms of, except for Pearl, I actually do believe that she was a genuine pick me, but outside of Pearl, um, like, do you do like I want to ask, do you believe that the women that were actually when women were speaking for the Red Pill movement, is it something that was, I'm trying to tread lightly, is it something, was it believable, or did you believe, or did any of you believe that it was just a hijacking of a movement? Because I think that's what's happening now. But for you, Given, do you think that it is something that women really understand
It
in
is
terms of,
believable because again, I think this is why you're having a lot of the Gen Zers kind of having a tough time with like work and working and having to do 9 to 5 and all these kind of things. A lot of them are starting to realize, even the guys are kind of saying, I don't want to work, this many hours a week. That's tough. Like a lot of them are starting to realize that this is not the life they want. So you have a lot more women actually speaking out on wanting that more traditional lifestyle because they get to live with without having to have that much responsibility, where they can be provided for and kind of have a good life essentially. And I think a lot of people want that life, and it's okay. And I think whatever floats your boat, you should be able to go for it without being shamed. I think the difficulty comes when the different sides are shaming each other for wanting, or like a woman who wants to become a mother, and like boss babes are shaming her. Oh, nah, you're just gonna be, a slave to your man and all this kind of stuff. Da, da, da. But if that's something she genuinely wants, is a man who is masculine, who leads her, who kind of handles all the big decisions and she kind of just follows his lead, then that's what she wants. You know what I mean? Like, let the people have what they want. And if people want to go 50-50, let them go 50-50 without shame. Same way, if a man wants a dominant woman who will take care of him, let that, let that be what that is, if that's what the man wants, and if that's what the woman wants as well. And that could be sweet. But a lot of people kind of always feel like they have to go to bat for their position and shame the other group instead of just saying, this is what I like, but if you like the other stuff, fair on you. That's okay.
That's it. That's interesting because this is. I mean, I don't think the trad wife concept is part of the red pill. Is it? Is it? I'm actually not sure, or is it just
I don't
an
think it's part
overlap?
of the red pill, but I think it's part of like people just wanting to be traditional. There is a lot of overlap in the ideologies, but like red pill goes to such an extreme. It's almost like it's like an extreme version of like again, it's like levels to this. Like red pill is normal, but then you have like people in the red pill who go to the extreme. You know what I mean? Who take their understandings of things to the extreme and try and basically make situations that are optimum for themselves, but try and push that onto the masses. Whereas other people who understand, quote unquote, being red pill is just understanding the world for how it works, and then using your knowledge of the world to maneuver through the world, achieving what you want to achieve. So some people are trying to push the ideology, the extreme ideologies, on other people to do the same thing. Whereas you should just say, as long as you understand everything and you choose to do the things you choose to do because you choose to do them, instead of being a victim, then that's fine. I think there is overlap between the trad wives and trad cons and whatnot, but I think there's a distinct difference in they don't go as extreme as some of the red pillars.
Okay, so for you, Meryl, I do I do want to ask this because we have grown up, because from what I see, a lot of the red pill, what they have espoused is basically about a lot of the things that we have learned growing up, a lot of the roles and responsibilities that we have to our family, the duties, the kind of duties that we owe to our, to our children and the next generation. That's what I've grew up on. Well, I can't say grew up because I was a fully grown man, but that's what I've come to understand or come to learn from when I was actually following the Red Pill movement. But then it became this microcosm of where people were saying so many outlandish things to just get clicks, in my opinion, just to get clicks and views. And
Yeah.
that's basically what it, that's how it continued to evolve and evolve. I've seen people even tweet things like men should get a vasectomy, and men should get a vasectomy and and have sex with so many women, and then when they are ready to settle down, they reverse the vasectomy. Everything is fine, etc.
Yeah.
I've heard so many takes like that. I've heard there are so many things, but the point is, a lot of the things that they were putting out there has actually been a lot of the things that women do want, because a lot of their goal, from my thinking, a lot of their goal was geared towards preparing men to pick the right women, even
Yeah.
though I don't think that's what it actually turned out in the end. But it was geared towards men picking the right women so that they can actually be a woman that would appreciate their masculinity, a woman that would actually appreciate them for let them play their role, etc. So my question is, if we do strip away the red pill or the patriarchy, etc., what roles can be developed so that people follow? Because we naturally crave structure, we naturally crave some kind of understanding, and from what I've seen in regards to women's reaction to even men deciding I'm not even gonna pay for the first date, for example, like even seeing their reaction, it seems like they also like that security blanket some way or the other to show that someone is interested, put down some money, etc. Like, what can be developed in the destruction, should that happen, of this movement or patriarchy?
That was a lot of questions in one. Can you maybe narrow it down a little?
Okay, so if patriarchy was to be destroyed, what roles would you develop?
Why
So
would
that
there need to be
so people can understand, because people crave structure.
People
What
create
roles
structure,
would be
yeah.
developed so that people can understand what type of roles they can actually have?
just like whatever they want? Like if they want to be a leader, they can be a leader. If they don't want to be a leader, they don't have to be a leader. If they want to be a stay-at-home dad, they can be a stay-at-home dad. If they don't want to be a stay-at-home dad, they don't have to be. Like I think fundamentally the idea of having any kind of gender roles just doesn't make sense. Because you're inevitably going to have people who do not fit in that, for whom that would not be a good idea. And it often takes them a very long time to realize that and then deconstruct from it while dealing with the insecurity for not living up to the ideals and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't see why we should be having like specific roles to be aiming for. Because it doesn't mean that if we don't have patriarchy, suddenly we don't know what to do with ourselves anymore. Like, it'll be fine.
I mean, technically,
That's the issue.
I mean, technically,
And just raise them as human.
no, no. Technically, in the hypothetical scenario, if you do strip away something, it would be, yeah, like what do we do now, kind of thing. If you do strip it away,
Live your life.
yeah, but you can't. That's not. That's not really realistic, though.
What about
Nothing
all
ever
these-
works like that.
All these men that have broken away from toxic masculine ideals and all these women that have broken away from misogynistic ideals, we still know how to live our lives. It's not like we're now like, oh no, we don't have these feminine gender roles anymore. What on earth will I do? No, now we're just free to live our lives the way we see fit.
Yeah, but you're still living in the confines of everyone's other implied understanding. So you just adapt to whoever you're
What the
meeting's
hell does
understanding.
that sentence mean? Living in
Okay.
the confines of other people's implied understanding. What?
Yeah.
Can you translate that to English for
Okay.
me, please?
So, in what I mean by other people's implied understanding is, you know that you may have deconstructed yourself and removed yourself out of that situation and unlearn all these things, but you also know that some people hold the standard of, I'm gonna pay for the first day, or I'm going to, I need. Some people still hold the understanding of, I need to be a good provider, or something that goes back to a gender role, basically. So the for the
Why can't
person,
they just be left to decide for themselves what they want to be?
no, I get that, but what I'm trying to say is that for the person that has deconstructed themselves, they are still going to. All they have to do is just basically adapt and be like, okay, well, it might suit my pocket today to actually let him pay for whatever. So they just adapt to that. It's not necessarily actually you hold that view. You want me to pay? I want you to pay for that. No, I'm not gonna bother being with you because you still hold that view. So I'm just gonna find someone that holds my view. That doesn't happen, by the way. So that's what I mean. We're still living in a world that is still governed like that, if you know what I mean. It's still governed by our understanding of gender roles, basically.
Yeah, because we still live in a patriarchy.
Yeah, but you can't. What I'm trying to say is that you can't get a. What I'm trying to say is that
Basically,
you
the
can't.
argument that I'm hearing is we have gender roles, and if we don't have those gender roles, then we wouldn't have those gender roles. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you can't get rid of one rule without
Why don't we have
replacing it
race
with.
roles?
Huh?
Why don't we have race roles? It's a devil's advocate kind of question.
We kind of have an implied understanding of like race roles. We kind of understand that generally we have like those stereotypes. Black people are better at dancing. Black people are very athletic. They're more. Those are the kind of roles you expect a black person to
Why
go
don't we have a society that is like constantly upholding these ideas of?
Have you been to Brazil? Do you know how many sports stars Brazilians produce every year?
Brazilians
It's practically
all
a
play
factory.
football. You know what I
It's
mean?
practically a factory.
Yeah, you do have.
We do
like,
have race roles. We just don't clamor on about it.
Yeah, why don't we? Maybe because gender roles are also like we don't need to be clamoring about it all the time. Like it's not like without without them, we'd just be lost. Because similarly, we're not talking about like hair color roles or whatever.
No, but going back
Just
to the
being human is enough. It's not like I
It's
need to
not that
decide on the basis of my gender what my
Okay.
role should be.
Okay, in that case, I'll kind of expand on it a little bit based on my limited understanding. Basically, the same way that these race roles, put it this way, these roles are now interwoven so much into society that some economies rely on it. And I personally think gender roles, it serves the economy. Like, many economies rely on it. The same way that we go,
Yeah, so
like,
that's why we need to change it so that they're no longer reliant on that, so that it
that's
just
why I
doesn't
said
cause so much
what.
harm.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked that question. What would you put in place? Because if an economy is tied to something, you can't just say, "Oh, let's get rid of it," because economies are actually their own being. They exist outside of humans'
Obviously,
influence.
it's a slow process. It's not like I can just snap my fingers and then poof, it's suddenly gone.
Yeah, but
in the process of dismantling this entire social system, the economy will also change with it.
based on what? It's based on demand. The economy, as we understand it, put it okay using
Like,
using.
the economy is made up of people. If people's ideas change, the economy also changes.
That's what I'm trying. Okay, going back to your devil's advocate in regards to the race, or to actually make my point. For a lot of people to get out of the poverty that they are in, and also, yeah, they looked into sports, and that's how it became a factory. A lot of them really go into it at a really young age because they know that could be their way out. But that's not always the case, because then you also have rich families that also play the sports, and so the demand there is the sport. If you remove the sport from the country, in this case Brazil, it crumbles. What do you put in place to keep that economy going? That's basically
Gradual change so that it doesn't crumble.
So you basically give them other options, slowly drip feeding them to the point where they have so many other options that seems less of a factor that the economy is dependent on, where they can actually go to these other areas.
That would
Yeah,
actually
but
be pretty good, because all of this has to be sudden. Because say that you're trying to change some part of a house or whatever that is in some way structural. You put up like a temporary wall to keep it up, because if you just take the wall out, the whole house will fall down. So you put like supports up so you can change the wall, and then you can take the supports away.
Yeah, but
Obviously, it doesn't, because you can't even do that. Even if you were able to do that, you can't. I mean, okay, that was a stupid sentence, but like, obviously, it would crumble if you were to take it out like suddenly, but you can't even take it out suddenly. So it's not a consideration that we need to take into consider. I am wording so well today. But
it's just a parallel. It's just a
that we need to have, as long as we're just mindful of everything that's going on and mindful of the systems that we live in and what we're doing, because society has already changed so much over centuries. Take the Industrial Revolution, for example. That was a wild upstart in society, and we survived.
I get that, but the point was, the reason why I even used that example the way I used it is because you want the patriarchy to go. You don't want, like, that was the point, because of patriarchy bringing in gender roles, all of those things. If you wanted to go, that's what I was basically trying to ask. If you wanted to go, what would you replace it with? What options would you give in this trickling down so that the patriarchy cannot exist anymore? In this case, the football can be removed. Because if you're saying, oh, we don't even have to do that because that's too, then the argument, then we need patriarchy, then basically. That's basically what you're saying, based on the parallel.
Like
the government came in and
eating the idea that men need to be a thing and women need to be a thing or whatever, and just have an egalitarian society where we just see each other as human and stop dividing ourselves over gender as much, and let people go where they want to go, doing what they're good at and what they're happy doing. Because if people do something that they're happy doing, they're going to do a way better job than people who hate their job.
I think I'll answer this question. I think what you need to put in place is, first of all, systems for kids that allows, like, let's say a single parent or whatever, to put their kids in a place where they are with other kids, and they have someone who like mentors them and teaches them, where they have a male figure, and obviously the mom or dad at home is the other gendered figure or whatever, and they kind of get a balanced lifestyle. You then implement what I would say is aid to these families and parents, so that there's no need on each, like there's no essential need on each other, but it's a community need where we kind of work together. And when you do that, then everyone can kind of flourish, I think, because you won't kind of think, oh, we need a man in the household or we need a woman as a mother in the household. We can subsidize these fields to other areas that become really specialized in these areas, and almost free, so that everybody can have them available, improving, I think, happiness for everyone, and people can just live their lives happy, and kids can be raised more societally. And also, you have to reduce crime in this case, so that everything is kind of balanced out.
Interestingly enough, if you go far back enough in history, like the idea of a nuclear family is super recent. It's super modern. Like raising kids tended to be like a village event. Like everyone would take care of the kids collectively.
No, it's the same like that in Africa. It's the same like that in Africa,
Yeah.
where I come from. It's the same like that, where the village,
Yeah.
like I knew everyone in the village. If I'm in the neighborhood, you'd hear 10 people shout your name. Like
Yeah.
you'd be walking anywhere, you'd have people ask, "Are you hungry? Do you need to eat? You can come eat with us." Like it's
Yeah,
like
people
that in a
take
lot of
care
places
of
in the
each
world.
other's kids and help raise them and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And that builds far more community than this stratified nuclear family idea, which is super recent, super modern, and at the same time, people have this weird feeling that it's always been that way, which it objectively hasn't, and it hasn't even been that way for as long as people think it has.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's really not actually shown to be that much better. And actually, it isolates a lot more as well, because of what I said. If the whole tribe, if the whole village is helping to raise the kids in that village, you get a much more tight knit community where people are watching out for each other instead of like, oh, that's your kids, it's your problem.
But this is why it's hard nowadays, because there's so many competing ideologies that people find it hard to know who to trust and who to hand their kids off to. You kind of have to sift people through. It'd be hard for you to gain a community. And this is why I think a lot of people in like other countries like India fare better in terms of like building people up, is because even when they like grow older, parents still live with their kids even into older age. You know what I mean? Like they take care of the families. They kind of have these communities where grandparents are in the same house as the parents with the grandchildren, and they're all raising the children together, where it's like a collective situation. Whereas here, it's hard to trust your neighbor on what they believe, because everything is so divisive and everyone thinks they're the enemy. But again, that's what you get when you have a society which is a free market. You don't know if you have a certain set of beliefs, you can't trust that the other people will facilitate those beliefs. So you need to kind of essentially have a nuclear family, because if I can trust my partner, at least it's us together, we can raise this child. So you kind of, it's kind of like almost like a necessity now, if you want a successful child, to raise them the way you want them to be raised.
I would say
Otherwise, society will mess them up.
I would say in places like Eastern Europe, for example, I do think that they do have a more village mindset. If I like, that's completely, I didn't know. I actually don't know if the stats bear this out, but if we're going to look at the changes within society, you don't see that that familiar thing that you're the village understanding that you're mentioning actually has disappeared in places like the US and the UK and that part of the West. But when you do go into like Eastern Europe, etc., they actually have that togetherness. People do know each other from the neighborhood. But the question is, a lot of those countries that do have that village understanding, they are very traditional in their ideology. They don't have that many competing ideologies. In fact, I don't even think that feminism has even reached that part of the world. Is the reason why I brought this in is that, do you think that?
No, it hasn't. And I think it's because survival. When people are closer to survival, gender roles are produced because it's more it's more functional to just have the gender roles, essentially, or some type of roles. It doesn't have to be man goes to hunt, woman stays with the kids. It has to be some type of roles that are established so that people can actually just focus on the survival.
So
You
you're
can't
saying
have a free
That's
market.
by the way an outdated idea.
You can't have, but this is what you see in the poorest places. Is people have these roles that they always fulfill. You never see like it's a free market. Let's all do what we want to do. Like it's
But
always like
you can still see that things need to be done. Like if you live in a hunter-gatherer tribe, you still know that there needs to be food brought in.
yes, but you always see what
You
is the
don't
most
need to.
optimum.
You don't need to think then. Oh, I'm a woman. That means that I have to do this.
No. But you think
communicate.
about the optimum situation. You know that men probably can run longer. They've got bigger lung capacity. They can be out there longer. They
Actually,
can
women
actually.
tend to be better endurance runners.
I'm just saying, okay. Whenever you look at the tribes in Africa who go to hunt, especially in
Let's-
Botswana, the men are the ones running miles trying to hunt. The women are not. Okay, we've seen this. It's more often than not that the men are the ones out there running, doing the miles than the women. It's fair. Even in endurance running, world record holders, like, come on, that's not it.
but like
There's several studies that show that the whole men hunt, women gather idea is actually not as true as people think it is.
Yeah, it's not as
When
true,
I
but I'm
hear-
saying there could be overlap.
Strength. A lot of the hunting that we did in those times didn't actually rely on physical strength. It's not like people were like wrestling
but
down the lion or something. A
they
lot
cannot.
of people
Okay.
tiring.
Even in the Amazon, you see.
Never mind. If I can't finish my point, then
Even in the images you see of these native tribes, you always see the similar trends. Obviously, there's overlap. It's not one to one. There's societies where you'd have overlap. But I'm saying the majority tend to do this thing and the majority tend to do that thing. You have people who can overlap and do the other things because they're skillful and successful in those areas. But generally, you have a sort of understanding of this is what people generally do, and it's the exception.
well, actually, there was a study done a while, not that long ago, like a couple of years ago, I think, that looked at all the evidence that we have of old hunter-gatherers civilizations, old hunter-gatherer tribes and whatever, to look at whether that image of the men hunting and the women gathering is actually true. And according to the findings, in 79% of the societies for which there's data, women were also hunting.
Yeah, and this is what I said. I said there could be overlap, but you'd have the majority of men probably hunting more than the women. That's what I'm saying.
And
But
also,
if you impose this strict gender role, then you're not going to get that.
But that's what I just said. I said that you could have overlap, but you understand that generally this is what happens.
I think
Generally, it's what happens.
The gender role is a prescription, not a description.
okay, but
Yes, but
I
this is
think
You can descriptively say that, hey, if you just allow people to go their own way, you'd find that more men would be hunting and more women would be gathering. Sure, that's fine. But that's different from saying that men should be hunting and women should be gathering. Like there might still, even if there were no more gender biases in all the occupations that are out there, you might still see some natural differences between the tendencies that men and women have for certain jobs. But that's different from saying that this is a man's job or this is a woman's job. And
but this is why I said you weren't listening, because I said it doesn't matter what the roles are or what the thing is. There just has to be some type of understanding of this is where these people tend to fall and this is where these people tend to fall, because you just see
why does that understanding have to be there?
No, because you see it naturally. That's what I'm saying. Because that's what you're saying. Because you can.
Why does that understanding need to be there?
If you leave people to their own devices, you kind of start to see trends between men and women. If you leave them to their own devices. And you would see that naturally in those tribes too, if the people left their own devices, is what I'm saying. So naturally, over time, people will start seeing, a lot of the girls are doing that. A lot of the guys are doing that. Maybe I should just, maybe that's where I belong. That's what people start doing. And naturally, that's what people start to do anyway. If you see your friends start doing something, you start to think, maybe I should start doing that something too. That's naturally how people think.
Right. And the thing that I was asking was because the argument that you were making was that there should be this understanding, and I'm asking why should there be that understanding of where those tendencies lie, because that implies a prescriptive role as opposed to just descriptively looking at what's happening.
I think context is really important here because let's say that we have a atom bomb land on us and somehow we manage to survive it. I think the first thing that we're going to be looking at is, okay, we need to keep generating. So let's preserve the women because they're the only ones that can generate.
Yes.
I actually think that context cannot be removed.
You also need men for that, though.
No, I completely agree.
But not as
But
many.
I completely agree. But yeah, like as Given just said, one man can
But not as
actually
many.
repopulate the entire planet if there was probably 12 women right there.
And then
But
you
the
get
point-
a lot of incest.
Huh?
And then you'd get a lot of incest. You'd actually need a lot of men too to have a healthy gene pool and to prevent incest.
But I'm saying, but not as many. That's
That's why
what
so many of the royal houses had like.
It
all
was
kinds
just
of
a
general
loose example.
diseases
It
because of
was
all
just a
these
loose
incest.
example. It was just a loose example of that one. It was just to,
But generally, this is what has happened in
Yeah,
history,
like-
as we have found.
the point I was basically speaking to was that when these roles were kind of devised and prescribed, it was
And this-
mainly like they know that if we send more women out there to go do the fighting and we were to stay back and not do any of those stuff, we have zero chance of actually getting more and more of humans
us.
going out. They knew that instinctively, so they prescribed these roles for that
Just a
time.
question: did the Black Plague have a gender bias?
No, it didn't. It
No.
didn't discriminate. No, but I don't see what's your
It
point with that.
decimated like a third of the European population, yet we still survived.
Okay.
What?
Land. What's your land?
what's the point?
Land. Expand.
That's the point, man. It's not necessary in the context of wars to like specifically protect the women because history just doesn't show that you need to have like specifically more women than men.
2/3
No, I'm saying
survive.
if you're actually going to a war, like if you actually there's like planned combat.
Yeah. Doesn't
If
matter.
there's like natural events, it doesn't really happen. Doesn't go down that way. But you kind of tend to prioritize the women and the children first.
Wait.
And that's unnecessary.
No.
Also, in modern warfare, there are so many functions that women can do that do not put them in bodily harm, in harm's way.
Meryl, even
Yeah,
women would
100%,
disagree with you
yeah.
on this. Like
Yeah,
there is
like,
there is so much material out there that literally says if there's a war happening, they were even making some of the whole Israel-Palestine war, just saying if this actually goes into war, I'd rather be in the kitchen than be in a war zone. Like we've had so much
Everyone
anecdotal.
would rather not be in a war zone. That's not an argument.
What do you mean?
Like them saying, "I'd rather be in a kitchen than in a war zone." Yeah, well, duh. Everyone would rather be in a kitchen in a war zone. Wouldn't you rather be in a kitchen than in a war zone?
You're asking me.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
you'd
this
rather
is
be in a
not
kitchen
a,
than a war zone.
it's not a gendered idea to rather not be in a war zone. That's
Yes,
just everyone
I would
would
rather be.
It really
put
is.
Put it this way. I would rather be in a kitchen, but I understand that I would have the instinct to want to protect my mom, my wife, my kids, or if I have kids at that point. So naturally, I would want to die before they do. So I'd rather go there and meet the enemy than they die before me. It kind of seems like I would be failing.
So-
like instinctively, it just feels bad. It feels bad that I would just let them die.
By the
or not
way,
try and do anything.
hit the like button, guys. Yeah, so that the algorithm can actually know that we exist. I should have said that. I need to get better at this. It's been 1 hour in, and I haven't said like hit the like button. But yeah, do those YouTube things with the like button. Please explain me. Says so. If all men died in these fights, did we survive then? So let me.
If all men died in these fights,
In these
did we
fights.
survive? Wait, what?
So what you say? What she's, I think it's a she or he. I'm not too sure of your gender, but basically, what I'm guessing is being asked here is in regards to men going to war, etc. Or all of these things. Like, if all men dies, will we survive? Like, what would be the natural? I'll try and create a question out of it. What would be the roles that would actually be developed to actually keep the generation going?
I don't see why we need to have gender roles for war. Like, It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
It does make sense.
No, it doesn't, because it would only make sense if in an event where like 99% of men get killed. Well, that generally doesn't happen in a war.
No, I know, but you wanna limit the amount of women you'd kill versus the amount of men you would kill because
You don't
again,
have to. Wouldn't you rather it be fair instead of men being like the ones who are always like pushed into war zones? Wouldn't you rather see some women risk their lives as
Wait,
well?
wait,
So-
well,
wait.
for
You
me
would
personally,
you would
for
drag
me
women
personally,
kicking and screaming
for me
into war?
personally, I wouldn't. For me
Wait, no,
personally,
no, no,
I
no, no,
wouldn't.
no.
But
Wait. Meryl, you
if
actually
it's made in
drag
equal society,
women
then you have to
kicking and screaming into war zones. You actually drag them to go and fight war
for
than.
equality. She would for equality.
I'm not dragging anyone into a war zone. Rather, there not be any war at all.
Nah,
I just don't think
that's
there is-
unrealistic.
If
Lunatics
war is at your
exist.
doorstep, if war is at your doorstep, Meryl,
Did you just fucking call me a lunatic?
No, I said war. I said
No.
lunatics are out there,
No,
Meryl.
he said lunatics exist. Like
Okay.
they will start wars.
They're the ones that start like,
but-
like
There's no solid reason why women shouldn't equally participate in war if that's what they want to do.
they disagree with you. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't even want to disagree.
Even male soldiers would say that if they're on the field with a woman, they feel more instinctual, like they need to protect her or something. It kind of diverts from their ability to actually do what they need to do.
Their
They feel
problem
like
because of this fucking patriarchy that's going on that makes it out like we're the weaklings out there. Like it's just there's
what do
so
you mean
many
like you're the weak?
women
There's,
involved.
there's
I'm
obviously
sorry, it's just-
there's obviously a difference in strength, Meryl.
we don't fight war with physical strength. We fight them with guns.
I know, but
You don't need muscles to fire a gun.
Meryl, I know, but when you're on the field, things happen, and eventually, sometimes it resorts to amount of bullets. They're out of bullets. We have to fight.
Okay, so for those occasions to like arm wrestle someone.
And this is the thing. And this is the thing. This is the thing. And this is the thing.
Okay.
Like people think about these things even deeper than that, because if you go to war, yeah, if we get, like, most men are just gonna get killed, but if women get taken in war, so much worse is gonna happen. So people would rather not have that feeling of like, oh, putting them in danger. If I get killed, I get killed. You know, it's like low
Do you
probability
think they
chance.
also feel protective about like their brothers that are out there on the field? Like if they have a good friend.
yeah.
out there?
Well, yeah.
So why don't we just force them to not be in the same battalion with friends?
But this is the thing. It's almost like a line of defense.
If the
Meryl.
woman's
You
going
said-
to distract them,
Meryl.
their friends are going to distract them.
Meryl. It's like almost like a line of defense. Yeah, you send the men out first. If they die, then the women have to go out naturally. And if they die, the kids have to go out. And if they die, then it's over. So that's how it goes.
This is completely absurd, but okay.
That's how it goes, Meryl. You roll the men out first, then the women, and then the kids.
It's true. But do you wait? Do you actually think that we should abandon that formation and just roll everyone out at once?
Or roll the men and the women at the same time out.
It's
Because
just
that's
like,
a battle formation, by the way. You send your strongest soldiers out first. Like that's a battle formation.
sure, but the strongest doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to enforce a gender in there. Like you could just look at like all the soldiers you have and who are the strongest, and if there's some women in there, okay, send them out with them.
But that's why they have the selections for the elite forces. You know what I mean? For the
Yeah, that's fine. But if you're going to like actively,
And they all
keep
tend to be
women
men.
out, that is like
But they want to
prescriptive.
get rid of the draft, though. They actually want to get rid of the draft.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the draft either, and I hope that it just isn't necessary anymore. But if there is a draft, I don't see why women shouldn't also be drafted. I mean, it's not fair for the men either to always be the one who have to put their life on the line while we're just safe at home. That doesn't make sense to me either.
But this is the thing. But I think the majority of
functions that
I
women
think-
can do.
I think the majority of men
Not
don't
safe.
have a problem with that. But I think if you send out the women and not the men, the women have a problem with that.
Okay, so my opinion is irrelevant apparently, and those of like most of the women I know.
I don't think that's. Wait, what?
No, I'm just saying.
There's also going to be men who disagree with you, so I don't see what the point
Yeah,
is.
but I said the majority. I said the majority of men would prefer they go than the women that they know go. But if you were to put like all the women out and not the men, the women will kind of feel like, bro, what are we doing? Whereas if you put out the men, they're kind of like, oh, it is what it is.
Hey, how much of your population can you reasonably expect to lose in any given war that might happen in the future?
Not that much really. It depends if it's like a world war. If it's like Israel versus Gaza type, like versus Palestine type, that's a lot. That's a lot. If you are not well equipped, you're losing a lot.
Right.
If you are like equally equipped,
in most wars, would you say that you'd keep like at least more than 2/3 of your population alive?
oh yeah.
Okay. So if we can survive the Black Plague, that didn't discriminate on gender, that decimated 1/3 of the population of Europe, then we don't need to keep women more safe during a war to repopulate the area, because that's not necessary unless you lose like
you
90%
literally have to convince a lot of men to just betray what they feel inside.
Yeah, you'd have to do that anyway, because most people do not inherently like shooting people.
I know, but
numbers, but lots of people have to be like trained to actually be able to kill it.
Yes, but if push comes to shove, Meryl.
No, never mind. If I'm not going to be able to make a point, and you're just going to be like, no, but listen. Yeah, I know that, no, but listen. Then I don't care. Then I just don't care.
Let's move on. There's no agreement on this one. We've lost this topic.
It's because you're not listening. You're talking.
I actually wanted to finish your point. Then,
go.
then you can rebut.
No, I stopped caring.
Oh, come on, man. Look what you made her do. You made her stop caring. You broke Meryl.
I didn't. No,
you broke Meryl. Meryl always cares about things, and then you broke her.
Stop caring.
No,
she chose to talk over me all the time and never let me finish a fucking point.
I did make that choice. And I'm sorry, Meryl.
I wasn't even finished with that sentence yet before you even jumped in.
What were you saying, Meryl? Go ahead. It's a safe space. You can discuss.
Like the point that I was making is that it doesn't matter what like their natural instinct is going to be, because in war you already have to be trained to override your natural instinct, because our natural instinct is to not kill each other.
Fair enough.
And also, if we don't live in a patriarchy where we don't have this feeling of we need to protect the fragile and very, very weak women, then they're also not going to feel as protective about it. And at the same time, people who've actually been in armies, who know female soldiers in their battalion, know that there are some badass chicks out there who can very well get their own business done. It's just none of it's actually reflective of an actual argument pertaining to reality. Go ahead.
Go on, Given. But
oh, you can go on. You haven't spoken for a while.
No. It's not about me speaking. I actually prefer when you guys actually go into this kind of mode, because I like to actually learn a thing or two sometimes. I actually believe I'm wrong 100% of the time. So sometimes I'm like, yeah. Let me hear other people. But in regards to the Redpill, because it has really spilled over. A lot of people, if you mention it, I've heard some horror stories coming from relationships, and a lot of the relationships, like stories that I've heard, is, and I wish I have the TikToks ready, to be honest. That's my fault. Point is, a lot of the relationships that I've heard is that when their partners enter and start reading up about this red pill stuff, all of these things, and this is the male partners, for example, and this was a woman launching this grievance. When they start getting into this ideology, what tends to happen is they become distant. They then start enforcing rules that they never held before. They then start enforcing values that they never held before. And then what tends to happen is their relationship deteriorates, and it becomes very, very hard to build so what I'm basically asking is red pill poisonous to a point that is actually destroying society, and making it hard for couples to actually get together because of what I just said?
It's really harmful, yeah.
Like, is there hope for it? I'm actually being serious
I
because
wouldn't
a lot of
I
people.
wouldn't say
If it's a
put it this
harmful
way.
ideology, why does it need to be saved in the first place?
Huh?
Why would there need to be hope for an ideology that's harmful?
I wouldn't. I don't think the core tenet is actually harmful in the
It's not
sense.
harmful.
What would you describe the core tenet as?
Understanding the world for what it is, accepting it, and then moving through the
That's
world in a
super
way.
vague.
That's literally the core
That's
tenet.
actually the core.
Understanding the world for what it is, objectively speaking.
Right, but what is the way that the world is? Because that's the point.
Like men on average tend to be stronger than women, stuff like that. Let me think of something else. Women tend to go into more jobs that are nurturing, like understanding the basics of the world and how it works.
So
understanding
that patriarchy exists.
Well, yeah.
No. Okay. So basically, I would try my best to
and
answer that question.
understanding that matriarchy is on the rise.
Basically, what
I
according
would matriarchy just as much, by the way.
Okay, so let me share this because 1 second. Let me.
But this is I forgot. Answer.
Yeah, guys, talk.
By the way, I see that only 15% of soldiers in last wars over the past century actually fired their weapon.
Oh, nice. That's good.
Most people, and then lots of people shot over the heads of their enemies to try not.
But that's actually the goal. That's actually the goal to actually.
We like that.
Yeah, that's actually the goal. That's efficiency.
We like that.
That's actually.
Yeah. People generally don't like shooting other people.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's efficiency. But what I'm saying is, I know a woman who would deadlift 2K lifts without breaking. Hey, I weigh 105 kg. Are you like that's a bit harsh, man? 2K. Please explain me. Please explain me. Says I know a woman who will deadlift 2K lifts without breaking a sweat and laughing doing it. That's harsh, man. I'm not that. Come on, man. I'm not that weak, am I? I mean, I weigh 105.7 is mostly 1.9, but it's mostly muscle. I mean,
being able to lift you is not about how weak you are.
It is
your strength isn't related to whether she can lift you or not.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So I was going to ask that question about it being poisonous.
Okay, so in regards
to the poisonous thing.
So Meryl asked me. Meryl asked the question of the core tenet of the ideology, and it basically let me go to it so that you can see. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see a bit better. Oh, there is an echo. My bad. Okay. So now it says here, the red pill believe that feminism. Hold up, going up a bit more. Okay. Okay. So the red pill is an internet incel made up of anti-feminists on Reddit. The head moderator of the group goes by the handle Morpheus Manfred. This group is largely based on Reddit and is found on the belief that nature, society, and nature favor women over men. By the way, men makes this group. So I'm actually reading from the people that actually were the pioneers of the Red Pill movement.
It's super weird to live in a patriarchy and at the same time society being favored.
You don't believe that we live in a gynocentric society?
No.
You don't think society is gynocentric in nature?
Like society and nature. Society isn't nature. Let's.
No, bad choice of words. I mean, in actuality, I should say. Sorry.
No, we live in a patriarchy. That's the whole thing.
What does that mean?
Men generally tend to be favored in positions of power and privilege and dominance. Like.
Okay, but that doesn't mean society doesn't favor women. Just because the patriarchy says men is power.
It just means that the men have to make the tough decision.
If society favors women, then why are the majority of like leading positions men?
That's not the point of favoring women.
I don't feel very favored. Okay, and then in what sense do you mean favor?
Huh?
In what sense do you mean favoring then?
As in treatment, they get like good treatment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's like
Yeah,
it's like
people
Can't
people
say
feel
that
sorry for
the
you.
I've endured really felt like good treatment.
People are nicer to you. People tend to, want to do nice things for you. Stuff like that.
Yeah, like kind of telling me that my opinion as a woman is irrelevant, or like seeing me as a
Equal rights, equal left for me. So that's not me. I'm not that guy.
station.
I'm not one of them. You
it
know what I mean?
basically says
No.
it basically going on to it says it's a forum of men interested in exploring an ideology based on solely on gender roles. Men who swallow the pill maintain that men are the ones disenfranchised. Disenfranchised. The red pill
Disenfranchised.
disenfranchised. Yeah, thank you. The red pilled believe that feminism is damaging and cites examples to support their view, their point of view, including the notion that society is generally anti-male. More than 200 subscribers, blah blah, followed their own language, blah blah. So it says the red pill is a social movement that is a bigger part of what is commonly referred to as the manosphere. These are loosely associated with men's right movements and that focuses on men's masculinity and personal philosophy for men, and also discusses the black pill. As an outsider looking in, the red pill may seem more like an ordinary men's banter group. However, closer look reveals an anti-feminist movement comprising men comfortable exhibiting toxic masculinity traits. The red pill movement claims that men taking the proverbial red pill are open to their eyes to damaging ways of women and free themselves from falling prey to their grasp. The group claims that once you take the red pill or join the movement, you will finally realize that female oppression is non-existent, and that men are the ones in oppression. Even so, red pillars believe that men and women are different in terms of evolution and thus submit to gender roles. They believe that women belong in homes raising a family and believe available and being available for sex with men, while men go to work and provide. So yeah.
All the ew.
By the way,
All the yuck.
by the way, this was made by people say if you're looking for more information about men going their own way, then join men's groups today. So this is a MGTOW site that actually puts out. By the way, the reason why I highlight this is because you were saying that MGTOW last week where Mr. Joshua doing all these things, but they're the ones that are actually putting on blast the red pill and saying this is what they stand for, and they're like, we don't really stand for that, because that's what it goes on to.
Right, that doesn't redeem like the rest of their harmful ideology, though. Like there can also be infighting among fascists. That doesn't mean that one fascist isn't fascist.
That's not what I'm trying to say. That's not what I'm trying to say. But that's not what I'm trying to say. But that's the core belief. The core belief is feminism bad. Second.
So what's the difference then between Red Pill and MGTOW?
They just listed it. MGTOW just
Red Pill still wants to interact with women.
Yeah.
Whereas MGTOW don't want to interact with women. They
Yeah.
don't, they don't care about y'all. They just want to do their own thing. Live their
They
best
just
life,
wanna
and they just want to kind of almost
live
like
their life.
they want to almost like use you when it's beneficial for them, and then live their life and do what they want to do, and not be constrained by any type of BS. To some extent, they want to obviously still have like segs. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
But they don't want to like have to commit to anything. You know what I mean? Have to give you relationship or whatever. It's kind of just like, I'm just gonna do me. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be an F boy. Imagine like an F boy for life type situation where you just do you. You understand that if you get into a situation, you might get entrapped or get trapped in it. You might get disadvantaged if you commit to them. So you say, you know what, no commitment. I'm just gonna do what I want to do, have fun, live my best life, allow them. Whereas in the red pill, they still want relationships and they still want to kind of interact with women, even though a lot of them would want the traditional relationship, but they still want that relationship with the woman. Whereas MGTOW, they don't want the relationship. They just want to,
Right, but ideologically,
get the sex.
like ideologically, their ideas about what masculinity should be, what femininity should be, what women are, what men are.
Yeah,
No,
they're very
they are.
similar. There's like a lot of overlap.
Nah. They don't even believe in those gender roles. They actually
Theology was just a different way of going about it.
no. But the thing is, they don't actually believe in those gender roles. They actually think that it's is the reason why a lot of the problems for men exist, like divorce courts, all those things. It's laid out on their site. I just read a couple part of
They
it.
want,
But
some of them want the
but they
50-50.
completely condemn the Red Pill even pushing the ideology of having gender roles, having continuing to
They
perpetuate.
want the 50-50.
Yeah. They basically want what you said earlier in regards to patriarchy, in regards to getting, everyone doing that. They basically want that, but they know they're not gonna get it because they ideally agree with the Red Pill, where they say that society is mainly gynocentric. So they made this group to actually be like, actually no, we need to build up each other, blah blah, while we live, and
It's
then
weird
move
though,
on.
because if you just Google MGTOW, what you get is an anti-feminist, misogynistic, mostly online community advocating
get
for
that.
suffrage.
I get that, but I just went to the
Yep.
source. I literally went to the source, and you're. I went to the
So
source.
they both believe that feminism is harmful, but now you're saying that they're not saying that because that one
No,
website
I am
said it?
saying no. I'm saying where you are right in terms of the fascist infighting, etc. Yes, they believe one subset, like one tenet, which is it's been harmful because it's causing because is causing more and more gynocentrism based on what I just read. It's causing this and that. Yeah, so they believe that, but they also believe that we shouldn't even follow the Red Pill because it's actually encouraging to uphold these standards, etc. But rather, we should actually leave it, so that we can actually flip the script, basically. That's my best example that's my best summary. I don't really know how to sum it up better than that. But yeah, that's what I interpret from reading them. They don't actually agree with the Red Pill, basically. They don't even believe that you should, not at this moment, that because it's a kind of gynocentric society, it's more favored towards women in terms of social acceptance, etc. So they just rather leave it.
Okay.
What? That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
No?
You explained it, so I said okay.
So how come you believe that is misogynistic then? Because this actually seems like they want patriarchy to go away too.
The core idea that society has been corrupted by feminism is one, misunderstanding what feminism is, and two, rooted in misogyny. So that point still stands.
You don't explain. You don't think that feminism has caused that feminism has done its job and it should it as an ideology is now regressing society? Do you believe that?
No, because there's like first of all, there's like several schools of feminism, of which the one that people most often have an issue with is not actually what feminism is. Just like what people think when they say communism, that is actually not the same communism as what communism actually means. And socialism, by the way, that's mostly based on a Red Scare propaganda image that the U.S. propped up like in the latter half of the last century. But what feminism actually wants to do is build an egalitarian society that favors neither men nor women. That's the core of feminism.
You see, this is the thing, but this is exactly how MGTOW was misconstrued, not misconstrued heavily, but slightly misconstrued, is exactly the same way feminism has been misconstrued in your definition. Whereas a lot of people are not seeing it as that, they're seeing it as it's female superiority.
Right femme, all of those things,
You see
basically.
what I'm saying?
But
That's how they're
is
seeing
it
it.
not a fact that both MGTOW and Redpill communities say that feminism corrupts society?
Yeah, they do, but
Yes.
but at the same time, but at the same time, it is also a fact that feminists are very misandrist.
But this
A
is
lot of them.
this is what I'm saying. Like misogynist, like this whole misogyny thing. It's like we have to like it's the hatred, the contempt that we don't like y'all. We want to get rid of y'all. We don't need y'all. We want to suppress y'all. Like there's a difference in thinking differently. For example, if someone thinks that putting women in work is actually oppression, and putting women in in the home where they can raise their kids and kind of do what they want to do, or have the option to do what they want to do, they can work and or have the option to stay at home. That's liberation. The two, whereas a lot of men see that feminism is kind of pushing women to have to work, where to making the other option seem like it's worthless. You're just becoming like a stay-at-home cow or something. Like, oh, you're just gonna be a milk machine and pumping out babies. That the only thing you're gonna do.
Right, but
Like,
that's not core to feminism. Like, I think that the main difference is that the core of what feminism as an ideology is does not advocate for those kinds of ideologies or those kinds of attitudes, while
Yeah,
the core of Red Pill and MGTOW does advocate for misogynistic ideas. Like, there's a difference between something being core to the ideology and something being not core to the ideology and actually opposed to the ideology, but something that some people that identify as a feminist do.
yeah, but
Because
that's
nowhere in feminism does it say that you have to be a boss babe or whatever.
but the misogyny implies that there's a hatred. That's what I'm saying. Like some people, like there might not be a hatred for actual women. It's
Misogyny is not necessarily only hatred.
and contempt.
Not necessarily. It's like just like it's a way broader term.
Ah, bruh. Okay.
oh,
What is the broadness of the term? Like how broad does it go? Like what else is misogyny? Like what are we?
Dislike of contempt for or ingrained prejudice against women.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
The,
prejudice isn't necessarily contempt or hatred.
Well,
I
yeah, just
will.
prejudging.
I will have to say, in regards to the feminism angle, because of what you just said.
So
In
then
regards,
half the population is also misandrist. Like or the majority of people are misandrist. Because it's the same, it's just prejudging.
No, what? How?
yeah, what's the
How did you
connection?
Because
make that point?
What's the
because
leap?
because prejudice.
Wait, what in terms of believing that men are on top or something?
No, because it's saying mis misogyny is just having an ingrained prejudice.
Okay.
So the women who have an ingrained prejudice against men are misandrist.
Okay, but what's the prejudice that
Yeah, but
was?
you said that was half the population. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, yeah. What's
Yeah, if
the?
the majority man versus bear. If the majority is saying that we'd rather be with a bear than a man, that's that's a prejudice, and that then
That's true.
misandrist.
Based on stats, yeah, it's a prejudice based. Yeah. Okay.
If you look at the definition for prejudice, it says preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. And the whole point of the man versus bear debate was that it was reflective of women's experiences. It wasn't about whether
I've
it was
had bad
actually
ex-
statistically safer to be with a
I've
bear.
had
It was
bad
about their
experiences.
experiences.
I've had bad experiences with
But that's
women
that.
too.
But that is prejudice, though.
This is what I'm saying. I've had bad experiences with women, but I'm not out here saying that I'd rather be with a bear than a woman.
That
Because
is
the
that is
majority, I know the
prejudice, yeah.
majority of women are not gonna be harmful to me or trying to be weird to me or doing crazy shit to me.
But then again, you just made that
Over
point.
here, so like the,
That's what she's gonna say. You just made
The
that point.
majority, but this is saying that's saying the majority of men would do that, would be inclined to do something weird and creepy. But that's like, really? Is that what we're doing? But anyway, let's move on because we're devolving.
the point of the man versus bear debate was not that the women were saying that the majority of men would be harmful. That wasn't the point. I tried elucidating that last week with the Skittles analogy. Like, you can have a bag of 1,000 Skittles, one of them will kill you in a horrible, painful death. Will you be more suspicious of that bag of Skittles knowing that there's one in there that's
I
bad?
saw a tweet. 1 second. Let me actually get this tweet
It's
up.
because
I
you
actually saw
don't
it.
know which one
And this-
is to be bad.
And this actually, hold on, and also this actually speaks to the whole differences in like men versus women type situation, where how we look at each other and how we actually see each other. Is if men are more inclined to actually be with a woman in the woods rather than a bear, what does that say about how men view women?
Well, it has a lot to say that men don't have as much to fear from women generally as women have to fear.
But why don't they have as much to fear?
Have you been alive?
I have, but I just
Like
want
you've
to.
lived in this society, right?
Yeah, but like
Yes,
that's what
yes.
he's talking about regarding prejudice. That is an
Okay. How many of your male friends have been like sexually essayed by a woman?
4.
How many male friends do you have? I was
About
just going for percentage.
8. I
that's
don't
Okay,
have
half.
that
what
many friends.
percentage of men that you know
I don't
have
have
been essayed by a woman?
men I know. I don't know that many men very well. The men I know very well, about 4.
Yeah, that's half.
Okay, the point I'm trying to make is that I don't know a lot of women at all that have not been essayed by a man.
It's about being touched inappropriately when the man is not looking for that type of attention. You know what I mean? Like you're in the club, you're chilling, and then they start touching on your crotch, stuff like that. You
Yeah,
don't
it
want to have sex,
happens.
but they presume you want to have sex, so they push themselves up on you.
Yeah, there's definitely women that do essay
I
men,
know. This is what I'm saying.
generally,
This is what I'm saying.
but it's not like generally equal. And also, that's where the physical differences actually do come in, because the average chance that you're going to be able to fight off a man as a woman are a bit smaller than the average chance that as a man you'd be able to fight off a woman.
I'm trying to find this tweet. It's kind of really relevant right now. Gosh,
What was
but
the
it was. Remember that you guys probably don't know this, but remember when um this woman was being attacked by a man coming into the gym late at night. She was being attacked, and the man was being like, was trying to rape her right there and there. He was caught on CCTV, etc. I'm trying to find the tweet, but
I have no
basically,
idea what you're referring to. I have not heard of this.
type it into Google. It's probably come up, but I'm looking for the specific tweet. Like, Joey Swole made a video of it, saying that he reached out to the woman for to get her support, etc. But the point was that particular CCTV was someone made a tweet saying this is why women chose the bear, which kinds of like it defeats your point because that's the prejudice saying that men do this, that men do this. It wasn't as a caveat, by the way, saying, oh, by the way, this is not all men, or this is not this and that. It was literally prejudice. It was written. I wish I could show you a tweet so that I can at least do it some justice and give you the idea, but I don't have the.
Do all bears that you encounter kill you?
No. We're not arguing like that. But
No, so when
I'm
you
just.
see a
Yeah,
bear,
but
you're
we're prejudiced against
you
bears,
see
though.
a bear, hashtag not all bears.
But
Let's say we're prejudiced against bears.
we are prejudiced against animals. Period.
Yeah.
Prejudiced against animals. Period. That has to be said.
You have to understand there's also a difference between this guy might be fine, might be dangerous. I don't know, so I'm just not going to take my chances. I think that's the kind of prejudice that is like decent to take in daily life, because you're not going to go off of you equally can't you equally can't prejudge everyone to be
Same with me. Like if I'm walking in the street and I see like a white lady across the street, I'm terrified. I cross the street and go to the other side. That's what I do. If there's another one over there, I walk in the middle of the road. That's what I do.
I will say this.
At all
and then
costs.
get hit by a car.
Hey, better the car. Because at least it'll be instant.
Better the bear.
I will say this though. I will say this because this one just happened really recently. This is the actor on Power. I'm actually gonna
got sexually assaulted.
right on camera.
Yeah, I saw that.
But the thing is,
Great.
I have not seen any. This is the prejudice that I believe Given is speaking to, and I think, sorry. You can hear that, right? Can you hear that?
Think,
can you hear that? Oh, okay.
Who cares?
Sorry about that, police.
The police are coming.
Hit that like button, folks, if you're enjoying the show. But let me quickly play it so that you guys can. But basically, this is he left the stream abruptly 20 minutes afterwards after this event because he was just chilling. Is he say? He was just chilling with the guys. She comes in, grabs his penis, and was basically playing around with it.
Then y'all gotta get out, okay?
5 minutes. You know how much 5 minutes is?
Okay.
To be now, that's basically it because because he tried to style it out and all of those things, but he was clearly traumatized. But the main point, to be quite fair, because I'm gonna go down to the comments. A lot of in the original video. Oh no, it's not here. Sorry, that's not the original video, but. In the original video, I did see a lot of positive comments from women saying that this is actually bad. This shouldn't happen. They were condemning it basically. That was what.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what gender you have. Like, don't assault people.
No. That's fine.
When Diddy was caught slapping up Cassie. Men was condemning that shit.
Right.
The same man kept both ways.
Right. But that's not. But the point I want to make is, in regards to the video, because again, the video that I was messaging, and I wish I had the tweet so that I can make the point. But the video I was referencing earlier of the man that attacked the woman at the gym late night, that particular video.
Oh,
was
I remember
being
that
used,
one. Yeah, I saw that one.
That one was being used to say this is why women pick the bear, and I'm like, you would never find anyone get this example and say this is why. Like, not even MGTOW. People of MGTOW have said this is why we avoid women.
I have actually seen posts like that. I have literally, like, this has been years ago, so it's not like I have them handy, but I do remember like seeing posts of like Redpill MGTOW types where a woman was just saying like, hey, like splitting the bills is like fine, and I don't mind being the provider, and that felt emasculated or something because of it, because these women want to have all the power or whatever, and like there's been
no that's not comparable.
Like, this is why we don't need women, or
that's not comparable to what I'm trying to say. Like, this one is an actual tragedy, but no one's using that to prejudice women. That's what I'm trying to say.
Remember that video where there was a woman a guy looked over when she was in the gym, and she made a huge big deal out of it. Oh, he's looking at me. He's looking for some attention, whatever. And I remember when that video came online, a lot of men, Joe Swole covered it, and a lot of men were saying men only gyms, men only gyms, men only gyms, men only gyms.
Oh yeah,
because at that point they were like, bro, if we were even looking at a machine to try and use the machine after you and trying to scan if anyone else is gonna go for the same machine after you, and you just happen to be on the machine, now we're like oogling you and looking at you and all these kind of things. So it kind of was like, men were kind of like, nah, we might as well have, our own space.
I haven't seen the video, so I can't comment on what the situation is.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy.
There are definitely people that are then just legitimately just looking at the machine of when it's gonna be free.
Available.
And then that's being interpreted like weird. But there are also men who say like, no, it's just the machine was going to be free, and then you see them and they're just like,
Well, yeah, but this is like, but this instance was clearly the man wasn't like oogling. You know what I mean? But she was trying to make it seem like, oh, this scum, even like a quick glance. Like, there's videos on TikTok where a guy looks just a quick glance in the area, and it's like, he was looking at me, you see, and it's like, bro, like, this is what we're devolving to. Like, someone just looks over and now it's like an issue, like literally a glance and it's an issue. Like, bro, it's crazy.
Num the Plume says they're coming for me. The police sirens. Of course, the men in white coats are here to take me back to the medical facility for my outrageous takes today, and I'm happy. I'm happy with that. That I'm being seen as crazy. Oh gosh, that didn't land too well. But I would agree with what Num the Plume actually said here. She said, on the flip side, gentlemen, are you not insulted being reduced to a moneymaker? I have to agree with this because I do think that in regards to
like, interestingly,
there is pressure. No, wait, one second. Because it was just a drama. Like, because there is pressure to really, really be a man, if that makes sense. There is pressure to, but I believe the pressure to do that is because, to perform. Thank you. But I believe that the reason why that exists is purely because men generally, they want to raise a family so that they can at least pass their lineage on. Some people don't make it in that. It's competitive. Yeah. It's competitive. It's very competitive. Like, because you're trying to prolong your lineage.
And that's key. And when the majority of partners are looking for someone on that level footing or slightly above them financially, then it becomes even more competitive. So there's a bit of pressure.
But because women also want to raise families too. And let's be real, I don't think anyone who have those aspirations to raise families, etc., and do all those things, I don't think any one of them will pick someone that isn't at least survival minded. Not, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, feelings are great and that, but they need to also see that if I was to trust you with the kids, or like, and this is both men and women. I actually believe women are more sensitive to who their father is going to be, because if they don't see that you as the father can impart anything to the children, which this is why also women tend to look for
basically brains, if they don't respect you, put it this way, if they don't respect you and they get with you, you are just the last resort, or like the option that was there in the time when they needed to settle down.
This is the Redpill ideology, by the way.
That's how the cookie crumbles. But that's how the cookie crumbles. That's literally how the cookie crumbles. Because you see that in the actual relationship and how it flourishes when you're getting that disrespect and there's no respect as partners. You know what I mean? There's shaming involved in the relationship. Whereas if you both respected each other,
no.
But no.
Oh, did you?
I
you
have
froze.
A hot take. I'm gonna say that shame almost never has a place in society and just shouldn't exist as much as it does now.
What shame?
You kind of need to shame people for killing other people. You know what I mean? Like, there's some room for shame. But,
no.
Yeah.
There's a difference between shame and guilt, and also just holding people accountable. Shame is like a very specific thing.
What's shame?
Yeah, I would shame a pedophile. I'll be like, what the hell? Why? I would shame a pedophile.
Okay. I do have a hot take here, but you have to let me get to the end of it, otherwise it's going to sound super weird.
Given.
Okay,
Let's
cool.
let it. Yeah, I want her to get cancelled for this.
Okay, but you have to let me get to the end, because otherwise it will be so much easier.
Get to the end.
Right. First things first, I am in favor of reducing the amount of pedophilia that happens all across the board, okay? And all I'm saying here is in the service of reducing pedophilia, like that's my goal, okay? These people need therapy to deal with their paraphilia. They need help in order to control themselves or whatever, or any kind of like mental health professional that can help them work through it so they don't actually do it. There are lots of people with those attractions that don't actually like it, don't want to act on it. And if we shame them to the point of like making it such a character flaw as opposed to just like anything you're born with, rather, because they didn't choose it, the chances of them being honest and open about it and getting help so that they don't act on it are smaller. Shaming them doesn't help. Shaming them only makes them do it in secret more. Because we can still not shame people while saying they shouldn't do it because it's bad. But what's the word I'm looking for? Like, disapproving of something is not the same as shaming someone. Right? So if you don't shame them as much, they might be more likely to seek help. So they don't engage in it and don't feel the need to be a secret about it.
But on the same, like
It would also be easier to find them if they're not a secret about it, by the way.
no,
But-
but true. But again, it could be a double-edged sword because it depends on the person. It's very subjective to person.
Hold on a sec.
If some people need shame to feel like I am actually doing something wrong and I need to stop this, whereas other people, if they don't feel that shame, they're gonna be like, it's not that bad because I'm not being
That would
shamed for
be
it.
guilt, not shame.
But
Okay.
here, shame. Okay, shame is a healthy emotion. Okay, hold on. Let me just get up.
I don't think shame is a healthy emotion.
It says. Hold on. Let me get out the definition of shame here.
Like,
Okay.
it's
Be-
wrong.
by the way,
here we go,
by
here
the
we
way,
go. Shame
Mer-
is an
Not shame.
unpleasant, self-conscious emotion, often associated with negative self-evaluation, motivation to quit, and feelings of pain, exposure, distrust, or powerlessness.
we got 10 minutes left, by the way.
You're worthless.
But
Right.
By the
but
way,
guilt is
Meryl-
much more effective at that.
by the way, Meryl, I want to ask because I didn't hear this part in your disclaimers. I want to ask, do you agree with MAP?
With who?
MAP.
How do you mean agree with?
MAP. Like, do you agree
I know
with
what it
the
is.
with the ideology of
What do
minor
you agree
attracted
with?
person? The
Yeah, I know
ideology
what
of
it is. I'm just asking, what do you agree with? Like,
the ideology of minor attracted persons. Like they're trying to say
But
that
it's-
we should normalize
but it's not an
pedophilia.
ideology. It's just what they're attracted to.
Okay, I understand, but I'm asking, do you agree with that with its normalization?
That again depends highly on what you mean by normalization, because it's just the fact that some people are attracted to children. That's just reality. And I agree that that's a reality.
Okay,
I don't get what you're asking me.
I'm trying.
Like, it's an attraction that by necessity, acting upon it is inherently harmful always in all situations. There's no
So here we go.
exceptions.
So shame. So there could be, again, apparently there's healthy shame, which is interesting, which guides towards self-correction, making amends, and growth.
like how.
And then there's toxic shame, on the other hand.
That as well.
And there's toxic shame, which on the other hand can be very harmful psychologically. So there's two different kinds of shames. So you can positively shame someone. So let's continue with that. The positive shame. The healthy shame, not the negative toxic shame.
Basically,
the healthy shame.
I will give you an example of shame here. So, based on oh gosh, I just closed it down by accident. Let me get it opened up. Oh gosh, and I think we'll close off on this because we got 9 minutes left. So I'll be very very quick with this. This is an example of shame. It's an article by Spike. Whew, gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. Basically says minor attracted minor attracted people is an attempt to sanitize child abuse. It basically says the rise of this new politically correct term for pedophiles should set off alarm bells. This is now going into the shaming part. It says, when someone think of the feelings of pedophiles, it seems public bodies have and they're willing to change the language of their output to accommodate the sensitivities of this most dangerous group. And that was based on the especially what happened over here in regards to the statement from Scotland Yard. But basically, it's like the rerun, like it's basically, as you might put it, transphobic in nature, based on how they're phrasing rebranding trans women and also plus size women. So it could be fatphobic as well. But the point was,
I'm sorry, how did we get from pedophiles to transphobia?
No, that I'm pointing out the article. The article is listing it. It's saying that they are rebranding all of this, but it's also being transphobic and fatphobic at the same time, basically, by bringing them in and saying that it's also a rebranding of that. But basically, what they're basically saying here is that they shouldn't change the word pedophiles to minor attracted person because of because it is something that needs to be shamed out of society.
I don't think it needs to be shamed. It just needs to be like treated and handled and corrected.
Healthily shamed.
Yeah, but like shame could also just lead them to do it secretly instead of seeking help.
But it could be both. You know what I mean? You don't know which way to go.
Or maybe just let
subjective.
go of the attachment to shame, because it can easily range into things that just make them go underground, and go for like guilt and keeping them to consequences,
Ooh.
and understanding that they didn't choose their attraction.
Nom de Plume made it.
It's not like they
So-
made a
so-
mistake
so
by being
should we-
attracted to young
quick
people.
question.
They make a mistake when acting on it.
Quick question. So should we not shame people who commit murders because of psychological trauma that happened to them back in the past, like serial killers?
I don't see a reason for shame in general.
Should we have them like rehabilitated and then brought back to society if we can, instead of
That's
sentenced-
not a true dichotomy.
No, I'm just asking this
There's a
question.
difference between shaming them and that's a weird question. Either you shame them or you throw them back out of society. That's,
No.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
it is
no.
an opposition.
No, because you said we should help them. That's what you said earlier about the pedophiles. So I'm trying to say that.
It also breeds resentment, by the way, which makes it even less likely for them to reintegrate.
Okay. So I'm just referencing that because earlier when we were talking about the maps, the pedos going to maps, you were saying way back you're saying that we need to basically help them. They need help, mental help, to kind of, if they're willing to change, we need to give them the aid and whatnot. But I'm saying on the flip hand, if someone has committed crimes, heinous crimes like being a serial killer or whatever, should we offer them the same ability to be rehabilitated and then brought back into society? Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, as long as they can be rehabilitated.
That's fair enough.
If it turns out that they cannot be rehabilitated, then they should stay locked up to keep society safe.
So what if the same thing happens to the pedophile? You try and help them, but then they can't let go of the urges. What do we do then?
Same thing, because they would have committed a crime if they act on it.
Okay.
So then they would be a criminal and would need to be locked up if they can't be.
But what if they haven't committed the crime yet, but they're saying that these urges aren't going away, so I'm just gonna live with it.
Well, that's like, how do you deal with someone who is
This is that show.
outwardly, hang on, how do you deal with someone who's outwardly expressing that they want to commit a murder but they haven't done it yet? That's the same thing.
Have you seen that anime Psychopath?
No.
It's basically about arresting people before they commit their crimes because you can like psychologically profile them as they're about to commit the crime, but they didn't actually do the crime, but you arrest them for something they were kind of inclined to do.
Like if someone plans a terrorist attack and
No, they're not planning it. They just said they're just going to live with it. They haven't said they're going to do anything, but they just said, I'm just going to live with it.
Well, you can't cure someone's attraction. You can only like stop them from acting on it. And if they aren't acting on it, then I don't see an issue.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Like, obviously we need to take into account whether they're going to be a risk or whether they can be radicalized into it. Like, there's actually an argument to be made for distributing like animated child material so that they so that they don't have to use as many real children to make that material, so less children are harmed.
So basically, hentai. They're suggesting hentai. Oh wait, I saw this actually. I saw this on Twitter.
No,
They did the same with ivory, by the way, that they flooded the market with fake ivory so that there was less of a demand for real ivory, and then there was less poaching.
But how would that work? Because how would you flood the market with like fake kids, like real looking fake kids?
That's what I was literally about to say. Like they have literally
dolls, pretty much.
That's what I was literally about to say.
Like
they have
any animated movie, like Frozen or something. I don't know.
No. I mean, oh wow, that's just.
So like you make like.
Could you imagine that?
Like dolls that are like kids.
This removes this
the visual material.
Oh, so you don't actually give them like actual physical dolls?
No.
This is talking about visual material.
See. Okay, so two things.
So they can like have their urge get out without having to use a real child to do it.
Okay,
I think that would just spiral.
Hold on a second. Two thoughts just came into my head because one, I remember seeing a tweet in regards to there being sex dolls that are children. Like they're literally making sex dolls that are children for these people.
I think that would actually be more dangerous.
Well, yeah. I mean, wow. Where's the line when you're doing the animation?
Is the degree of
But
separation between you and a screen more than with you like physically getting
That
used
person's
to
still
Yeah,
there, but
I
what
get
if
that.
they're still imagining doing the thing? So if
No,
that person's still imagining it, they want to. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
said there's
do.
still
I do want
degree
to
of
before we
separation.
close out. Before we close out, I do want to pose this question to you, Meryl. Yeah, in regards to the whole visual idea, right? I do want to put it to because we already have child pornographic laws, and you cannot distribute this type of images, or like you just can't distribute images of whether it's cartoon. It basically just codifies as images. This
I'm not sure if it actually includes like not real children
No,
as
no,
well,
it-
but that would differ per country.
No. It encompasses any image. So basically, if you have any image of child pornographic material on your computer or device or whatever, they can use that against you if you were to be. They can charge you for that basically. So what this could lead to is a decriminalization of child pornography. Is that actually a viable solution? Because it's still the same thing. It's still a screen. Is that
In the
something
UK,
that you would
it is
agree with?
actually illegal, even in the UK, it is actually illegal even if it's fake. I see, but there are
It's illegal.
countries
Yeah,
where
yeah.
there
Yeah, I
there
know.
are countries where it's only illegal if it's like a real child because that is documented evidence of child abuse. And if it's just a drawing, there's no child abuse happening.
Yeah, over here they make it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can't have the image. So, but the point
So I
is,
don't know why my camera just went all red for a second. It seems to be back to normal. Okay,
okay.
cool.
But I do want to ask you: would you want a decriminalization of that though? Of possession of
think-
child material.
I think that would actually be a really bad idea because like if we're talking about like the real material, that's by definition harming a child because the child was involved in the making of the thing.
Of course.
That
What
should
about
be
AI?
because there is like harm done.
What about AI?
If we're talking about AI, I think we need more research because I could see it going either way. That it might actually reduce harm, but it might also like
It can't
there-
cause harm because it's not a child there. It's
No,
basically
like-
an advanced image of your drawing,
we need-
basically.
Yeah, exactly. But we need to like these are ideas that are floating around now. We need to actually like study whether that does decrease like the tendencies of them committing it or not.
Okay. And we'll close out on that. I appreciate you guys for joining me. We're back in 2 weeks' time, and we'll post the subject out. Well, pretty much next week. Guys, thank you so much for joining me again. Chat, thank you so much for keeping us entertained. I do want to close out on this message by Non the Plume saying, along the lines of support groups for perpetrators of DV, which exists by the way. I do think, yeah. Not you.
That's a good thing. If people can
Yeah.
talk about it, they help each other.
Yeah, because it goes in line with the MAP minor attracted persons thing. Because to be quite fair, I think I just want to disclaim I don't agree. If you believe I am trying to normalize pedophilia or anything, that's not what I'm doing. But I do advocate for early intervention. I actually do advocate for that. Where
I
if you
actually
see
also advocate for distinguishing the terms by using pedophilia for someone who is just
Who's
attracted to
committed.
people, and pedosexuality for someone who's committing the action.
No, pedophilia should be for people that actually committed the action. While minor attracted persons is just someone
Okay,
that
then how do you call the people who haven't committed it but have the attraction?
minor attracted persons. I think that should be the
Yeah.
distinction.
I thought there was an objection to that term, but
There was,
There's
there
an
have been,
objection
but
to calling people who are actually committing acts.
yeah, that's the one. That's I was about. Yeah. That was the objection
They're
because
changing for
they,
them, like, bruh, nah.
because they were actually getting convicted pedophiles to actually say, oh, we shouldn't call them pedophiles, we should call them minor, and that's where everyone was like, what is going on? kind of thing. Why are you blurring lines
I've
here?
only heard map in like dodgy context, so I'll have
Yeah.
to do some more reading into it because most I've heard is just like distinguishing like pedophile from pedosexual.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll close off there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Make sure you hit that like button on your
Also,
way out.
If you're a pedophile, don't act on it. Just don't, or I will haunt you in your dreams.
Oh
I swear.
wow. Wow, my man has become Freddy Krueger. The screen is red as well, so you know she means it. So you know she means it.
I don't know why. It's like the camera can decide whether to put me on the red light district or not. I know I lived in Amsterdam for 5 years, but not in
so
one of those houses.
She's not, guys. But yeah, I will close out on that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everyone, thank you so much for taking part in the chat. I will see you guys on the next episode, where I believe we are going to be talking about. We will confer and we will let you know. Thank you so much again for joining. Check out the community section of the channel, and yeah, we'll close on that. Have a great evening. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.